Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo. I'm your host and keeper of the Harry Channel, and with me tonight are minions Sora Luna.
Good evening.
And DrFunctional.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm sorry about last week. I had car problems. It was 100-something degrees out, and my car decided about halfway home that said, no, I don't want to. So I ended up...
You can't make me.
Yeah, it can't make me. And then I spent about 2 hours waiting for a tow truck. And then the tow truck shows up and the guy says, my air conditioner broke today. Sorry about that. It's like, oh, damn it. So
Oh.
luckily it was just a fuel pump. So it'll be back and running and it's fine. So rather than risk it, I decided I'll just stay home. So there's no way I could be late for the show tonight because I never left. So simple.
It's good thinking.
Yeah, good thinking. I'm really on top of stuff. So
Got some good thinking there, boy.
people look at you strangely when you take a motorcycle to the grocery store. They're like, "Are you going to be able to carry all that?" Yes. I carried an entire case of wine on my bike one time.
True dedication.
True dedication to the grape. No, it went okay. Let's see who.
How many cats do you have?
I don't have any cats. I've had cats in the past. But hey, no, it wasn't a box of wine. It was a case of wine. Don't even start with me. If it was a box of wine, then I'd have cats. Yeah, box wine. Let's see. Hi, Hey Camel, Green Badger, Keever Dam. Hi, Keever Dam. Yeah, we're trying to go a little earlier on Saturdays just because it's late for some people. So I figured, let's just try to nudge the show a half an hour earlier than it was. So hopefully people will find us. So tell me.
And admittedly, that last half hour is rough on me. I'm just kind of like dead, kind of like glazedly looking at my monitor. And whenever Harry's like asks me something directly, I'm like, I get startled. I'm getting old, guys.
Well, at least I don't do that thing to you that I do to Jack where I ask you to tell me something I don't know. And then Jack just goes, what? It's like out of your entire brain, there's like millions of things you know that I don't know. Just pick one. He's like, I can't. So,
Next time, you ask him about concrete.
Yeah. Well, there are things about concrete that I know that he might not know. Like, there's a bunch of cool archaeology stuff that we're only just starting to figure out why Roman concrete was so awesome.
I like us to take. I love that it's taken all this time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because they broke all kinds of rules. Like if they, like, hey, let's just use seawater in the concrete. You do that with the modern stuff and then the rebar rusts out and everything just collapses.
Yeah.
And then it starts to look like your building looks like a facelift that went wrong. Everything just kind of goes, bleh, just slides off because everything disintegrates inside. But anyway, I was asking you a question, Functional. How are you doing?
What?
How are you doing?
I was making a joke, Harry.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm good. I'm surviving. I hope it's. I checked with you before the show, but it's hot as balls up here, and in the Great White North apparently, and I've got like a bajillion fans just like aimed right at my head because the kitten, Anixia, decided she was going to take. I have one of those giant like industrial exhaust fans to pull air out of the apartment because it's better to pull the air out and get the airflow going than it would be to just like sit in front of a fan. It's healthier too. It helps get rid of all the particulates that have just been settling in your apartment, whatever. She decided that she was going to climb on this thing and somehow yank it out of the wall and have it come crashing down to the ground, and now it's broken. So that's why I have a bajillion fans shoved in my head, at my head, as opposed to just one giant industrial fan at the window.
Well, what if you got 4 fans and you placed them in an array so they created a vortex that was going clockwise because you're in the northern hemisphere, and you just created like a cyclone around your chair?
They're kind of they kind of are doing that. They're at cardinal directions and they're all pointing just slightly off to the right of my head. So there's this nice swirl of air. It's really refreshing, but it's still hot as balls. It does nothing for my butt crack.
You could get a mesh. You could get a mesh chair And then you could just
I have a mesh
connect.
chair.
You could just take a whole row of
I'm still sitting on my rump
PC fans, and put them behind the mesh,
put
so
them
that
under the
basically,
chair.
yeah.
Shit! No wonder you're a genius.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That's my next project.
You know what you don't want to do? I've seen these videos that people go, it's this genius trick. You don't have to buy an expensive air conditioner. You just take this bucket and this fan, and then you use some duct tape and then put dry ice in it. And it's like, whoa. It's like, what? Oh, you're going to use dry ice in an enclosed space, just like pounds of dry ice to stay cool. That's a tremendously bad idea.
Okay, maybe not the dry ice, but the ice works. The swamp cooler does
Ice
work.
is fine. Dry ice is not good.
No. Do not do dry ice.
Yeah.
But I mean, in small spaces, a swamp cooler is just great. As long as you got good airflow, because of course you're putting more water vapor into the air, and that's going to cause more problems than not if you have electrical equipment around or whatever. But if you have good air circulation, swamp coolers, amazing.
Well, sometimes that's what you want. Like, so if you're geodes and you're living in the hot, dry part of the country, the extra moisture is actually good. In fact, it will protect your electronics from static electric discharge.
But not here, landlocked around the Great Lakes.
Yeah, if you're already at like 40, 50% humidity, 60%, a swamp cooler is not your friend. Yeah.
I wish it was 50 or 60%. It is currently 87% humidity. Yesterday it was 95.
Yeah, you don't want a swamp cooler.
You're literally inhaling soup at this point. It's inhumane.
Wow.
Rescue me, save me.
Yeah.
No, the Great Lakes in summer are fucking awful.
Yeah.
If you're indoors, because it's also not sea humidity like coastal humidity, which is a little bit more opens your, because you have that salt water moisture in the air that helps your breathing. It's fresh water, so it's just moisture. It's just
That's horrible.
Right, I do go on.
Yeah. Well, this is why ocean fish is in a lot of ways much better than freshwater fish. I mean, you were a cook, you know the difference. What's the one thing you can do with ocean fish that you can't do with freshwater fish? You don't have to cook it as much or at all in some cases. You cannot have sushi of freshwater fish because the bacteria counts are way higher because there's no salt in the water. Things are just healthier and happier when they live in salt water, like an organism. There's a lot less bacteria to deal with. But like trout, you don't want trout sashimi. That's a terrible idea.
Catfish sashimi. No.
Is somebody recommending catfish sashimi?
No, I was just thinking of catfish because it's a really tough, rubbery, disgusting fish. No offense to people who like it. It's very good when you fry it just right. Fried catfish, great.
Oh yeah, fried catfish is
just
great.
Try to eat it raw. You'd be like chewing on rubber, like tire rubber. It would be disgusting.
And it tastes like mud.
And it tastes like mud. It's freshwater fish. Bacteria counts are higher.
Yeah. Well, anyway, before we start talking about fish for half an hour, hi Sora.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Very good.
It's not insanely hot there. I mean, things on the left coast seem pretty nice right now.
It feels like it.
It's hot.
I've been out of the house from 11 to 7. 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Spent the whole day out.
Yeah.
No, it was hot. It was pretty bad. I am exhausted from the heat.
Oh.
And I don't know. It just wore me down from the day, but it was nice. It was very good to be around.
To be in the big blue room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh look. And also there's people.
Well, here in Central California, things are busy. So right now there is sort of in the middle part of the coastal thing, there's races going on at Laguna Seca and there's stuff going on at Pebble Beach. And so people are just sort of funneling from the south and the north to go to one or both of those things. The fact that they're both going on at the same time means that traffic is just kind of terrible, no matter where you're coming from. If you're on the coast, it's just like, because people, I guess they want to go watch women play golf or watch motorcycles go in circles. Sure. I mean, I like motorcycles, but watching other people ride them is not that much fun for me.
That doesn't sound that great.
Yeah, I don't live vicariously through other people like that. So that part of my brain, the I'm winning vicariously through somebody else part doesn't really work for me. So maybe that's why I don't like sports ball. Because if my team wins, it's like, yay. I would just do it for the potlucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, potlucking, tailgating, these are all good things. These are all fantastic things. But see, I was going to show you, let me see. So I was a little concerned about an event that's coming up, which is the California Rodeo. And sometimes some places call it rodeo, some places call it rodeo. It's not really important.
It's Rodeo Drive. You go to the rodeo.
Yeah, I don't know why some
Shop
parts of
on
California do it one way and some do it the other. But this event is coming up, and I was thinking to myself, it's the California Rodeo. Let me see, switch this over. So everybody can see that. So I was thinking, has it gone woke? So I went through their Instagram feed and stuff, not a rainbow flag to be found. No LGBT, EIG, EIO stuff. And they have a free expression zone. What?
Is this the nuclear weapons need queer theory?
Why is it not showing the updated thing? Okay.
Is that
It's a mystery.
the wrong article?
Well, that's going to be the first article. Give me a second here. Technology's stupid. Let's see. Window capture.
I think I may have jumped the gun on the genius comments, Sora.
Yeah, totally. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh no, I've seen the diagram of what you have going on.
Okay, so here's the diagram. Okay. Free expression zone. So if you want to protest, there's a little square in the corner by where you enter and leave the fairgrounds where you are allowed to protest. And I looked at their it's like, okay, here's your little corner. Keep all your little woke bullshit, all of your PETA people and other stuff. Just keep it in this one little corner. I was so pleased. It's just nice to see that not everything in the world has completely sold out. Because I was thinking, well, why would somebody want to go to a rodeo on, in 2023? What's the appeal? Well, I mean, what's not to be good? You get to see, handsome and beautiful people on horses doing stuff and not a rainbow flag or diversity, anything to be found. It's not like there aren't, cowboys of color and stuff like that. That's not an issue. Nobody cares. And I know that they have Latina people who've won the beauty queen part of it before and stuff, but it's just like country music concerts and stuff. And a lot of stuff outside of the big cities is just not woke. And I try to tell people this. It's like everything in California is not San Francisco and LA. Thank God. Anyway, nuclear weapons. So as we leave Rainbow Month, right? What was it called? Pride Month. There was a thing from the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists talking about how we need to use queer theory to deal with discussions of nuclear weapons.
What the fuck does this even mean? Excuse me.
I don't know. I don't understand, because apparently if you're locked into a gender binary, it means that all of your thinking is binary. So you can only have all or nothing solutions to, say, nuclear proliferation questions. That's what I was able to glean from this. Absolute garbage.
So nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing here that makes any sense.
If you're normal, you might think wrong.
Now they are
the
saying
time to do better is now.
Well, they are saying that they don't hire enough LGBTQI whatever people in facilities that deal with nuclear stuff. And it's like, well, what about that whack job who was stealing people's luggage in the Biden administration? It doesn't seem like there's a big inclusion issue.
Stealing the especially the a black fashion designer from Africa, and wearing the stolen designs, basically stealing her intellectual property and wearing it without permission as well. That was the best part.
Oh, frosted glass. We can have rainbow mushroom clouds. Yes, yes, we can.
Oh, that'll be so pretty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feel the rainbow.
Then the apocalypse won't feel so bad.
It's a friendly. It's an inclusive mushroom cloud. Oh my god. This feels like decolonizing math. You know, that whole movement. We need to decolonize science.
It's less dumb than that, because really nothing is more dumb than that. I mean, in terms of the dumbest things you could possibly think of, this whole 2 + 2 = 5 thing, those idiots are...
In some situations, if you feel like it, it is 5.
No. You can't identify as 5 or... No. No, it's... No, I was a real fun kid. There's a book that I read, Introduction to Mathematical Philosophy by Bertrand Russell. And I read that book, and I actually thought it was so significant that I wrote in the back cover, which I don't usually write in my books, the time and date that I finished it, because I wanted to sort of make a mental note, because it's all about like how arithmetic works and number theory, not number theory, but sort of the philosophy behind mathematics. So I'm kind of well versed in this, and we're not going to go down that particular rabbit hole. So when people talk about this alternative math stuff, not new math, but this 2 + 2 = 5 stuff, I become pretty apoplectic. I can't cope with that level of stupid. So, but queering, the whole idea that you can't have nuanced thought because you believe there are only boys and girls is a pretty stupid proposition. So why you need to use queer theory to deal with nuclear weapons, I don't know. It's just too stupid to get into. But that's no longer Pride Month, so I don't have to worry about this anymore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're off the hook. Okay. So this is a thing that never particularly affected me, but there was the whole question of Harvard was slapped with a lawsuit over legacy admissions. Are you familiar with what legacy admissions are?
It's like if your parents or grandparents went, you have a higher chance of getting in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I honestly sort of kind of don't care. I think if private institutions want to do that, it would probably be useful for fundraising, because they raise a ton of money from alumni.
Okay.
But that's about it.
It's not like how many kids, I suppose if they see it from the wide, like if everybody who graduates from there, right, has a kid and then all their kids get a spot, then I suppose that as a giant crowd can take quite a lot of people. It's annoying, but not a problem. You know?
Yeah.
I suppose that if they change it to say, yep, we will, if you're a legacy, sure, but you have to have at least, I don't know what your universities look for in admissions, but like, you have to have the decent grades and an entrance score or whatever.
Yeah.
But if they're equal to someone and they're also a legacy, then maybe they should change it so that, yeah, legacies are welcomed in, but that doesn't take a spot from somebody from, the populace. I don't care.
Yeah,
for me, this seems... It's not something that is here in Canada, I don't think, because the only thing that's private, I believe, are religious institutions. So it's fun.
Well, they all take money, right? They all take money for different stuff. In terms of government money, even the private institutions get it for research and all these things. So of course they attach strings to it. So they could, if the government wanted to, they could just say, well, you're not going to get any government money for research or anything else if you have this preferential practice. I mean, I didn't even understand why, was it Lori Loughlin and these people ended up going to jail? It's like, if you want to do a backroom deal to get your kid into a college, I don't know how that's actually illegal, unless it's a public institution. If you're bribing state employees to get your kid into university, that seems wrong. But if it's a private college, it's none of my business. It's fine. You know, go.
Well, that was the thing. They did.
I thought
They do take enough.
USC was not public. I thought it was private.
Okay, this is what I read a long time ago. So bear with me. But they take enough money to be considered under federal regulations on post-secondary educational institutions. So for them to directly take money, pay to play, was illegal.
Okay.
If you donate goods and services to the institution itself, building new wings, dormitories, etc., buying books, that is okay. And it's kind of more under the table for them to say, oh, well, this person donated, so of course we're going to take their kid in. There's no direct sort of changing of pay to play. So it's a very gray area, and it's usually just left alone because it's usually dealing with, and this is now my just take from it, it's usually dealing with people who have money and influence, and you kind of want to look the other way with that kind of stuff because those are the people who are paying your backroom deals. Like I said, that last little part there, that's my supposition for it, because I mean, look at the people who, the lawmakers on all three levels, they actively participate in those types of gray areas all the time to make money while they're in office. So, you know, don't ask, don't tell kind of stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm with you. If it's a perfectly standalone, legitimate private institution, do whatever the hell you want. I don't care.
Yeah, as far as I'm
The second
concerned,
you're taking public funds, then no, you kind of have to start playing on that sort of equal plane of meritocracy.
if they're private, for all I care, they could literally set up an auction. Say we've got 3,000 new incoming seats this year. It goes to the 3,000 highest bidders. Done and done. I don't care.
Yeah.
If that's the way you want to
Really
run your
don't.
private business, it just doesn't matter. That'd be an interesting model, though. I wonder how that would work out if you actually got like Saudi oil money, you know, like the kind that had like the Gulf thing that's being set up. But I think it's a Saudi-backed thing, this alternative thing to the PGA. Have you heard about this at all? Is this all news to everybody? There's essentially a league that's being set up by one of the oil nations that's been sucking people away from the PGA by just giving them 10 like soccer player money to come play in this alternate league. And it's turned into this big messy thing in the world of golf. I know.
How shocking.
Hey, it's like, you know, just you guys have a good time. But if you were to say hire 100 of the best university teachers in the country, you know, Nobel laureates, all these people, get them together, make some private institution, and then have like 3,000 new students coming in per year, and you just auctioned off basically had an auction for all the positions to get in. I wonder how much money you'd make. I wonder if you'd actually make money on a deal like that. Maybe. It'd be evil, but because I think for society's good, we really want the most qualified people getting that precious education so they can go back and make the world better instead of shittier.
Well, I mean, I think that's the hook right there, is if they are an institution that has been proven to give people that leg up because they are a good institution, people come away with connections or education or both, then yeah, I mean, I definitely see that.
Well, taking my extreme example, the thing about the legacies, if it is tied to donations from alumni, in a sense, you're kind of diluting your own brand. If you want the brand of Harvard to be as good as it can be, it should have absolutely no basis in the selection except for merit. It should just be merit. And that way, but bear with me.
No.
You have merit, and then when you come out the other end, if you don't let people buy grades, you don't let people buy their way in, you only get them in on merit, and then you only graduate them if they actually do the work that means that when you go to an employer, that degree is actually worth something. That's what I'm thinking.
I agree with you, but you missed the other point I made.
Okay.
In that it's also connections. So a school like Harvard, in a lot of cases, well, not a lot of cases because I don't actually know the numbers, but in many cases, it's all about the connections these people are making. That it's not necessarily what they learn; it's who they meet. You know, the old adage that holds some water. It's not what you know; it's who you know. A lot of these big movers and shakers can get into positions just because they met the right people, the right legacies in whatever fields or whatever. So it's either or both.
Yep.
So someone could go to one of these schools, get an amazing education, be one of the most like one of the top well qualified people in their field, and make the right connections so that yes, this first year resident who fucking just killed it, made the right connections, is top of their class. Yeah, they're gonna get that coveted internship at John Hopkins. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Although why
Whereas
anybody would covet being an
just
intern?
a top doc who didn't get the right connections or whatever, they're still going to have a good job. Don't get me wrong; they're still going to go places, but they're not going to get that little extra edge.
I mean, as a complete aside, I think the idea of paying interns the amount that we pay them, I think it's kind of ridiculous. I think if you're going to make people work those kind of hours, they need to be compensated a little better than they are.
Especially for the work that they do. It takes many years of grueling torture. And by torture, I mean studying and memorizing and all that good stuff that comes with being a doctor. Because a lot of the being a doctor is just is yes, there's the practical aspect, the working with your hands in regards to the many different fields, but it's also the memorization of a lot of this medical knowledge that your average person just doesn't have enough room in their brain for that much knowledge. And these people spend 6 to 10 years training for this. Yes, once they're out of school and starting their residencies, they should be making some money.
They shouldn't be
makes
scraping.
No sense that they're
yeah,
because you want to be able to take away the stressors of just living, making ends meet, etc., for someone to continue to be these amazing life-saving people that we all rely on. That is one of the only professions, one of the handful of professions we all will rely on at some point in our life, is the medical field. Everybody will rely on that.
Yeah.
And I think that, definitely we want to treat those people, as long as they're qualified, as the kings and heroes that they are.
But you know who the real heroes are? It's the teachers. Anyway, sorry.
Minorities?
Just kidding. It's not the teachers.
Because they're stunning and brave.
So, speaking of medicine, do I even want to cover this? No, not really, but we're going to anyway. UK Cancer Trust suggests bonus hole as term for vagina. The more inclusive terms are offered in the Cancer Trust's LGBT glossary. Yeah, we don't want to. Just.
You know what? At this point, as much as I loved it and lived in that country for a little bit and just enjoyed it, just fucking sink it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss certain candies and foods and certain people and all that sort of stuff, but it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah, it's just time to nuke the site from orbit. Only way to be sure.
Yes, Keever Dam, they are serious. Bonus hole.
Bonus hole.
Yeah. Well, because everybody's really just one. There's really just one gender, right? And then there's just different varying kinds of expression on a spectrum. And then some people just have an extra hole, apparently. So
yeah. Everybody got a butthole.
Yeah.
It's only the other 27,000 genders on the other side of the spectrum that have the bonus hole.
Kind of a demi-vag. I don't know. Just whatever it is.
And I think this is the reason why there is a reduction in the birth rate.
This is why we can't have nice things. Is really what it is. Yeah.
It's like, can you imagine?
We're making
Go
people
in.
so dumb they can't even figure out the logistics of reproducing. I don't know what I'm doing down here.
You know what? I'm all right with that.
Maybe they can
I
just put a
really
sign.
am.
Oh,
It's-
this sign says this way to the bonus hole. Excellent.
It's the people I don't want breeding anyway.
This is
The
so
new tramp stamp
terrifying.
fad.
You can get a new trend in the UK, a tattoo, you know, so you get
Just
the little tattoo.
bonus hole.
Bonus hole. Yeah. I honestly didn't think we'd get this much mileage out of this topic. Anyway, moving on.
I did throw up a little in my mouth.
I found out,
It's okay.
I heard a story about something which I thought was actually pretty funny. Now, this is from a couple years ago. Well, 3 years ago, I believe. There was a ship. It was like an icebreaker cruise liner thing that was going to Antarctica. And it was near Venezuela, and they were doing some maintenance on it at sea because they were having some engine problems. So a Venezuelan
I read
patrol
ahead.
boat decided that it was going to say, "Oh, your boat is in Venezuelan waters, so you're going to follow us back to our port, and we're totally not basically pirates under color of authority, but we're going to take your ocean liner and send you to this Venezuelan port because that's the thing." And they said, "No, we're in international waters. You know, go away." So the Venezuelan military / pirates decided that they were taking too long contacting their home office in Germany to find out what they're supposed to do with this thing. So they decided, well, we're just going to try to nudge this so that it's oriented in the right direction to head to the port. So they take their little Venezuelan warship thing, and it looks like this thing right here. Okay.
They fucked around and found out.
And they tried to sort of move it around, but it turns out that because the cruise ship was an icebreaker and they were pushing on the bow, that bow is like massively reinforced. So because it's designed to deal with icebergs and ice flows and things like that. And so their little boat ran into it, sprang a leak and sank.
It's beautiful.
At this moment, they knew they fucked up.
So
God.
yeah, and it's I don't know. I mean, is there really anything else that needs to be said about this?
You don't fuck with the Germans.
Yeah,
You just don't.
yeah. This is a great story. I
I
love
don't
this
care
so
how
much.
many of them
Love
fled to your
it.
country
Yeah.
in the late 40s. You don't fuck with the Germans.
Now
You
I
think
did the
you might
math.
think they'll
It's
do
about 4 times the weight of the tonnage of this ice breaking. Well, it isn't really an icebreaker, but it's a reinforced thing designed to work in Arctic waters or Antarctic waters. It's about 4 times the mass of that warship, and of course the warship is just your regular. Hey, I'm a fast, cheap thing in the Venezuelan Navy. I'm going to fire my little pop gun across the bow and then try to move this thing, and then no.
What they thought. I want to know what was their, the thought process in this. They thought like, what, we're going to scare them and they're just going to follow us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've got guns and they don't have anything except a massive,
giant
except for
ship.
being 4 times our size and being massively reinforced. Other than that, they have no advantage.
Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah, it's like warship, not the same thing as tugboat. If they were a tugboat, they might have actually been able to do something, but whatever. The Venezuelans, I don't know. It's ever since that whole Falklands thing, it's hard for me to. It's like you had your chance and you blew it. Oh well. Naval patrol boat takes on cruise ship, loses real bad.
It's like a couple of meerkats taking on a fucking hippo. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Well, Joe Biden, our fantastic president, is still hanging on to these notions that he's going to somehow forgive all the student loan because these student loans, because that's just a thing he can do. He can just wave his pen and unilaterally forgive just billions of dollars worth of debt. No, he can't. The Supreme Court was absolutely right to try to do that, but his new plan that he's trying to float is he could borrows $1,000 a year, basically cap monthly payments at 5% of discretionary income a month, and forgive loan balances after 10 years of repayments. Are you kidding me? 5% of discretionary income for some of these, Balinese basket weaving majors is probably far less than the interest on the loan. That's just theater until you forgive it 10 years from now. I got to wonder what these people are thinking. I was going to say, I wonder what they're snorting, but of course, after this, the cocaine in the White House thing came out. I assume you've heard about that.
Yes.
I wonder whose cocaine this is. Nobody knows. The funny thing is...
It's the White House cat.
Yeah, they're investigating it, and they're saying, well, we may never know. Really? You're saying in the White House you couldn't narrow down where somebody was during a particular time? Because if that's actually true, you have bigger problems.
Much
Bigger problems. As in, I don't believe you. But, Joe Biden, our fantastic president. No, there are people running against him. Not that you could tell, but this was a thing that happened. So here's RFK Jr. showing that he's physically fit compared to Joe Biden. Good form. Because don't we need like a president who's jacked?
Yeah. Well, especially if he's gonna like go one-on-one with Putin, right? Like he also has all those pictures shirtless, so kind of America has to step up.
I actually think that this is a smart political ploy for him, because a lot of, at least in recent memory, a lot of talk of the overall health of Commander-in-Chief has played a big role for as long as I can remember. I mean, even going as far back as what's his name, Clinton, Bush, more recently Trump and Biden. Obviously, there's a difference. Some are more talked about in the mental health aspect, some physical. And I mean, I'm unabashedly a Trump fan. I like what he did for the most part, and I think he was a great commander-in-chief. But the guy was a fat, lazy fuck in poor health, like physical health. To see somebody like RFK, who, holy shit, dude, is cut.
He is jacked.
Swole. He is jacked. Like, it is a good message.
I think so.
I fully believe in leading by example. Your country is fat as fuck. The average woman is 175 pounds. That's obese. Because the average woman is only 5'4", 5'5".
Yeah, well, okay, the difference is that's the average woman's problem, right? That's their personal thing, and they can deal with that or not as they see fit. But when you're 70, 80 years old, your health and Kamala Harris is the vice president, we actually kind of give a shit about whether you're healthy or not. It takes on a new significance, I think, when you're falling down and can't remember and stammering. I mean, his mental and physical health is important. So if his challenger is coming out with this, and like Sora said, Putin, right? So I had that ready because I knew the conversation was going to go in this direction. This was from 8 years ago, so I guess he's 68 now. But when he was 62, he weighed 170 pounds. That's pretty much an ideal weight for a guy who's 5'7" and in good shape.
And yeah,
he plays hockey, horseback riding, alpine skiing, hiking, fishing, plays badminton. Let's see. In 2014, he made the list of 2014 fittest heads of state. He made another list like that in 2015. Barack Obama versus Vladimir Putin fitness showdown. Do I want to look at that? I haven't looked at this before.
Oh no.
No, Barack plays basketball, but we're talking about Joe Biden here. That's like a whole different thing. Now you guys aren't as old as I am, and we don't have any of the genuinely old people here, but I wanted to show you this. Set the Wayback Machine for the first thing that popped into my mind when I saw RFK Jr. doing this thing.
Military shop?
Yeah.
Is that like surplus?
Yeah.
Nice. Who- Who is this?
Okay. So, okay. Now I have one more. Okay, because the question here is why is it a good idea to do this sometimes as a politician, and why is it a bad idea other times? Because this just looks sad. And that and the fact that he named his son Bong Bong. I mean, either of those are deal breakers for me. But and then there's this. So here's Tulsi Gabbard. Let me kill the sound there so we don't get nailed on that. And so she's doing the fitness thing, and I mean she's obviously, you know, in the reserves and doing the kettlebell. She's in great shape, right?
Ooh. Does she have like a natural skunk stripe?
I don't know how
Or
natural it
did
is,
she
but
dye her hair?
I don't know.
Because that's adorable. I love skunk stripes on
Yeah.
people.
But I mean, she's doing okay. So the question is,
That's impressive.
that is impressive. So the
Uh-huh.
question is, why is it a good idea sometimes and not a good idea other times? You know, that's sort of the thing. And I think, just to sort of summarize it from my perspective, if there's a question sort of in the voter's mind, if you think that like you have something to prove because you're a woman, sorry, I don't make the rules. This is just what people's psychology is. If you're a woman, you want to prove that you're tough, you know, physically, mentally, all the other things, because you want to fight the traditional stereotypes of women being weak and flaky and flighty and neurotic, right? So Tulsi Gabbard does a pretty good job, I think, in terms of her messaging. And I think the RFK Jr. thing looks a little desperate, but considering who he's going up against, I think it's actually perfect. I think it's totally appropriate given who his opponent is. The Ferdinand Marcos thing just looked sad. It's like, you've already been deposed, shut up, and just, you know, you just do what you're going to do. Leave us all alone. But I guess, do you agree with me, or am I just missing the point again?
It does feel a little bit because they've already had. If this had come out at the same time, right? Sort of when the initial videos of Biden being, you know, a little bit wobbly, without there being a lot of commentary about that, it would have, I think, been stronger. Now this comes out, say, out of context, where you're just seeing this, but knowing kind of how they see Biden and what the discourse is, it does feel a little bit like you're punching low, which can go against them.
Like
maybe?
it's a little
I don't know.
mean-spirited because it's like you're picking
Yeah.
on the old handicapped guy who's being
Yeah.
led around by his junk by Jill Biden.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess
It's just a little bit like, I mean, it's funny.
it
right?
is.
Especially with the Team Kennedy guy, but it's a little bit, you know. With the Tulsi Gabbard one, I would say between the two of them, with her, it's a little bit easier. You know, she could spin it to say, I am for educating our youth and everybody to get out there and be healthier, right? And here's my routine. I don't know. It's still, to me, it seems it's more for the male gaze than anything else. But it's nice. Like, it was a very good video.
Well, I mean, my main problem with her is she's kind of a gun grabbing anti-nuke person, and I don't have a whole lot of issues that are sort of litmus tests for me, but nuclear power is one of them. Realistically, we need a lot more of it. It just solves a lot of problems, regardless of whether it's the climate or whatever. It's it's a pretty fantastic way to not run out of power. It's super reliable. It just solves a lot of problems. So we kind of need it. I mean, there are ways we can do things without it, but you're going to have to get used to plants that use natural gas to make up the difference in demand when other things don't work, where you're going to have to figure out geothermal finally. There's the other things you would have to do if you don't have nuclear. Nuclear just solves a lot of problems. And if somebody has an objection to nuclear, it's pretty rare that I hear anything from somebody where it's like, oh yeah, this person knows what they're talking about. Because usually it's just kind of a knee-jerk reaction to like, this is a bad idea. It's like, no, it's actually a really good idea in a lot of cases. I mean, if you've got cheap, abundant solar power and they have cheap storage, fine. You know, in Geode's house in his backyard, put a bunch of solar panels and just do it. If that works, fine. But solar panels are not going to solve all of our energy problems for the whole world. But okay, I'm going off on a tangent. Sorry about that. But I'm not necessarily behind Tulsi Gabbard. I don't entirely trust her, I think. Because of some of her earlier statements, I just think she could be a little fashy given half a chance. I'm not really sure that the version of Tulsi that we're getting is the authentic Tulsi Gabbard. Whereas when RFK Jr.'s talking... I'm sorry? Oh, yeah. I kind of feel like RFK Jr. is actually what he portrays himself to be. I don't really get the sense that there's a lot of facade and bullshit going on. I mean, for better or worse, he just sort of is what he is. And I'm not endorsing the guy. You said you were Team Trump. Is that what you said, Functional?
Yeah.
I mean, assuming...
I was especially a big fan of like foreign policy and what he was trying to do.
Oh, you mean like peace accords and all the other stuff he did and where he just rolled up his sleeves and went to North Korea?
Yeah, you're not saber rattling. You're trying to bring them into the global fold. And what I mean by that is not globalism, but in nations working together to spark commerce and trade and do things that's going to affect us, the people, at the basic level. If we started trading with places like North Korea and China and Russia and these places that we are at odds with, in a lot of respects, but if we can find common ground to like trade and have peaceful relations, I'm all for it. We had no real threat of China invading Taiwan when he was in the White House. It seemed. Obviously, I can't get into all these movers and shakers' minds, but it seemed. But now that Trump left the White House, there is a lot of apprehension of what's going to happen to Taiwan if China, who's right next to them, takes over Taiwan. The global market of semiconductors and microprocessors is fucked.
Well, there's a reason why so much of this stuff is being built up in the American Southwest and why a lot of it's in Thailand and Malaysia and a lot of other places now.
Yeah, I have a few friends who actually came back from Taiwan they've told me about they had to do drills in case of air raid or whatever. It's eerily silent in the city because there's no air traffic. It is heavily regulated. And if you do hear aircraft, you kind of find a secure corner to hide in and kind of bite your lip and hear if it's going to be an air raid siren or nothing. Because if it's an air raid siren, it's somebody in their airspace. If it's not, it's the Taiwanese military doing exercises. But again, it's heavily controlled so that there's absolutely zero aircraft over the major population centers because of the tension there. And with them trying to revitalize the stuff stateside, they all moved home, and they brought a whole bunch of their coworkers from Taiwan with them. And all I got to say to that is two enthusiastic thumbs up, because if we can get that shit stateside.
Oh, I think I figured out. Sorry, some people were saying in the chat that they couldn't hear the video from the thing I was showing. I pressed the wrong button on this mixer board. Sorry about that. I assume you can actually hear it now.
That's a fit boy.
Yeah, chat, let me know if you can actually hear that.
Okay.
I can hear that now.
Let's go.
Okay. Well, I know you could hear it before, but it's a different sub-mix.
No, we didn't.
Oh, you
We couldn't
Sora,
hear
I
it
didn't.
before.
Well, I'm an idiot. Okay. You said something nice about my mental confidence at the beginning of it. I'm going to talk about mathematical philosophy. It's like, yeah, but practical knowledge is like, unmute your microphone stream, moron. Okay, so that's working. Good. Okay. I assume you're familiar with Mr. Beast.
Yes.
Okay, you know who he is. So
name.
I jokingly put down Mr. Obeast here. So he decided to recently go on a health kick. You know, so while we're talking about people and their health, yeah, exactly, good for him. So you know, he's looking a little doughy. He's kind of rocking the dad bod there on the left, and then he's been working out and taking care of himself, and now he's transformed to the body on the right. I think RFK Jr. might be able to take him in a fight, but I know this is going to be somewhat predictable. He got a lot of heat from certain groups of people talking about, well, you're not obese. Why are you being fat phobic to yourself? What do you think you're doing? Why can't you just be happy the way you are? It's like, well, I mean, that's kind of his business, isn't it? Maybe if somebody chooses to not work out, fine. That's their choice. If somebody chooses to work out, fine. That's their choice. But these like anti-fat phobia people can just shut the hell up. You know, we don't have, other people shouldn't have to not lose weight so that you feel better about yourself. That, I don't know. It's sort of a crabs in the bucket kind of thing where I guess you just don't want to feel that somebody else is succeeding in a way, or it's a jealousy, perhaps. I don't know. Is it even worth trying to make sense out of these people?
No.
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 Because it's like, if that is an awkward photo, my dude. Don't.
Yeah, he's covering his junk. Here, just put this hand right there.
And just grab on real tight.
Yeah, make sure they're still there. Well, he hadn't seen him in a while, so he's just saying hello. And he was not that fat, okay?
Gross.
So I don't have a problem with him deciding, because it seems there's a lot of rich douchebags deciding to get in shape all of a sudden. I don't know. I'm not sure what this phenomenon is, but it seems like there was maybe at the Bohemian Grove there was some sort of fitness channel or a fitness challenge that they all decided to set up for each other. But it does seem like a lot of rich people are suddenly trying to get in shape.
I think it's the residual fall off, the positive residual fall off of the lockdowns.
Yeah.
People saw that people who were obese and obviously elderly, but you can't help being old. We all get old, but being healthier makes you more resilient to things like the coof and just anything in general. And once you get that itch, that bite of increasing your overall physical well-being, you feel more alert, you feel stronger, every breath is sweeter. And take it as somebody who, you know, recently since my accident has gone the other way, you know, it's something a lot of people take for granted, and once it's gone, you miss it. But when you get on track to get to that position, it is more euphoric, better than any drug. It is akin to getting laid, which again will help you in that department immensely if you're in good shape. Who'da thunk it? You'd have better sex.
Or just move to Minnesota, and then it doesn't matter.
Why?
Because it's kind of a plump state.
Plum State.
It gets cold in the winter in Minnesota. You don't want to be too skinny.
No, I mean, you don't have to be, you know, super McCuddy, like buff dude or whatever. But I mean, looking at this before and after picture, he definitely looks healthier. Looking at who else was in the news recently that, you know, like celebs that were doing the whole you know, boxing promotion thing or UFC promotion thing. These you know, I wouldn't call them fat, but you know, less in shape dudes getting in shape. They don't have to be super cut or super swole. You just have to look healthy.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's all downhill after Copper Cab versus Gavin McInnes, honestly. that was what we had. What was it? Wings of Destiny versus. They had like two big guys boxing recently, didn't they? In the celebrity fighting thing.
I don't know names. I don't really follow.
So it was like Boogie versus Wings of Destiny. iDubbbz.
Oh, did they actually fight?
I believe they did.
Wings of Redemption.
Wings of Redemption. Yeah. It's a lot like South Park, you know, where you just have the
two tubbos.
Yeah. God. Well, okay, so
I think that was through. I wanted to set up. Did they actually do it? Because
I thought they
there
did.
An issue with.
But who knows? I mean, this shows you how much I care about sports.
I don't know. This is the stuff that's like through the gossip pages of YouTube.
Well, is there going to be a fight between Elon Musk and Zuckerberg? That was the other rumor that was floating around.
Oh, that was one that was floating around. Yeah.
That feels like an op, doesn't it? Like there's somebody's just trying to get.
Some do.
Yeah, I don't think that's actually going to happen.
What's his name? Jake Paul?
Yeah.
Logan Paul?
No, he actually got in the ring. Or the octagon or whatever it is.
You know, as much as I hate or don't hate, but I don't care about him, like mad props for setting that target, getting into the shape you need to actually compete in a semi-professional state. Like, I mean, he's obviously fighting not, you know, the top echelon of boxers, but he's not fighting, you know, Joe Schlub.
Yeah. Well, okay, I have a hot take here, which is it isn't so much about health and weight. Okay, that's not really what we're looking at here. It's about self-control. If you do anything that involves like structure and discipline where you sort of earn something at the end, whether it's losing weight or learning to speak Italian or learning to play the guitar, just anything where you have to put in time and effort, you're going to get that endorphin rush. Now, if it's something physical like losing weight and getting jacked, that going out and running when you weren't able to run before, that's amazing, right? You get even more from that physical stuff. But really, any kind of discipline where you're doing something hard and you're meeting a goal feels really good. It feels really good. It doesn't have to be the weight thing. People get
Yeah. To your point, I mean, feeding your brain is you know, your mental and your physical health run in tandem. There's no separating the two. And feeding your brain is just as important as taking good care of your physical body.
Yeah. Or any
Having
goal.
those
Build
goals
a
and meeting them
canoe. Just build a freaking canoe out of wood. Just anything. You always feel good at the end of it. I mean, we've all done hard things. We've all had to force ourselves to do hard things. And it sure feels good at the end of it. But be that as it may, if Mr. Beast, it's a lot easier to lose a bunch of weight when you can hire personal trainers and hire a personal chef to basically, you know, completely optimize your nutrition. Yeah, because most of us have real world requirements. Like there might just be a kebab shop on the corner and we didn't have time to eat, and you just eat what you got to eat. You know, but he can literally pay somebody to follow him around and hand him beet salads all day. It's
yeah.
It does
As
make it a little
opposed to
easier.
them constantly doing DoorDash or Uber Eats or whatever, which is generally what I know. A couple people, they're not like Mr. Beast big, but you know, air quotes influencers and streamers that, yeah, I mean, I know for a fact that that's a lot of what they do is they just order out because it's quick. It's not the cheapest, but they can afford it because they have a steady income from streaming, and that's what they subsist on, and that's not healthy.
So tell me about your new mirror.
You don't have to, you know, change everything and start exercising like a madman. Again, it starts with diet. A good balanced diet will do wonders for you, and you don't even have to change your physical activity. Although, oh god, yeah.
Just tell me about your new mayor. Is she great?
So she's the widow of Jack Layton, who was the former leader of the
that's why
New
she looks familiar.
Yeah, the New Democratic Party, which was formerly the Communist Party, during his tenure as the leader of the party, he shifted them from being a whole lot less socialist and a little bit more responsible, but still, liberal left, without being crazy. So for a while, he was actually a viable alternative for the liberal side of things in Canada. However, he developed cancer and he passed, unfortunately. And so that's where she gets this name recognition. She's been a counselor, she's been a member of parliament, she's been a lifelong politician, scumbag fucking communist.
Mm-hmm.
She's a former, she immigrated here when she was 13 from China. But whenever she speaks of China, it's always fondly and never, beware of communism that you so often hear with a lot of people who do immigrate from China, even at younger ages, because they've heard it from their parents and whatever. But she's in my mind a full-blown communist. She won the race for Toronto's mayor, my city, the biggest city in Canada, and it's a bit scary because she's a communist. Did I mention she's a communist?
Yeah. Well, I have a note that I wrote.
She's going to like all the bad policies you can think of from places like Portland and LA, or not LA, San Francisco and New York. I can see those types of policies taking root here under her leadership because she's that stupid. Safe injection sites and fucking. My sisters who are homeowners are screwed because their property taxes are basically going to double to pay for bullshit that we don't need. That is we do need roads and working infrastructure, but the hundreds of millions of dollars that we pay in tax money already that's supposed to go to this stuff magically disappears every year. So instead of going after the corruption, big surprise, the communist just wants to steal more people's money.
Well, as a party ruling elite, it's important. They need money to move around. Otherwise, they can't siphon it off.
Have fun with that.
Yeah. So I made a note here about, here's my little Cliff Notes version of her. It says, Chow's campaign was headlined by a pledge to get the city back into social housing development, an annual $100 million investment in a program to purchase affordable homes and transfer them to nonprofits and land trusts, part of a larger pledge to track down on so-called renovations. So let's break that down for you. She's going to take 100.
Renovictions, maybe?
Yeah, she's going to do renovictions. Yeah, she's doing renovictions. She was, we're going to throw $100 million around. We're going to buy things and then give them to people. Because what could possibly go wrong with the city just handing houses to
You're gonna become
nonprofits?
Vancouver. Good luck.
Yeah,
It's
going to be great.
She's literally
you know exactly how it's going to end up because you can see it with us here. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
No, it is ridiculous because she's literally pouring gasoline on a fire and completely ignoring the person who started the fire. Like, you can't have a city like Toronto who, compared to American cities, Harry and Chat, we're smaller. The roads are skinnier. Things are smaller. We didn't foresee the needs of the needs of growth, and you pile on tens of thousands of immigrants in addition to and refugees and stuff, tens of thousands each year, in addition to natural population growth. It's causing the supply to basically dry up, and that's why rents are exorbitant. They're ridiculous. That's why food is much more expensive, is because there's a bigger demand. These are basic economic principles. There are very complex surrounding satellite, economic principles, but when you boil it down to the simplest terms, they're adding so much more demand for just basic needs and services. And the natural growth of things, the natural supply chains cannot keep up.
No, they can't.
Again, on the coattails of lockdowns and things sort of stalling for a bit. It's just, and Elwin and I, we kind of joked every now and then, like when we're going to get out of the city, whatever. But once that happened, when the news hit that she was elected mayor, we kind of seriously said, okay, now we really have to talk about this because it could turn out very bad. And one other thing was another reason, not just because she has a well-known name, basically all of the news coverage, local to national, was all about her. 98% of the coverage was about her. And there was a very real pushback from, there is a big anti-communist mindset here in Toronto, because we do have a lot of foreign, former immigrants and children of immigrants who came from places like the former USSR. In the 80s, massive flux of immigrants came here, and we all look at each other and go, never again. And a lot of people were speaking up, and you could see it in comment threads, in YouTube videos, and in social media. People were really pissed off at the news media, more so than usual, because all of the coverage was to her and next to none to any of the other candidates. And there were actually some candidates I could have gotten behind, but even someone as myself who likes to keep on top of things, especially local politics, because that's the most important, you couldn't find anything on any of the candidates.
Well, it was 102. So maybe the journalists are just lazy and not very good at their jobs. They said, we just like her, we'll pick one.
But the polling percentages, like if you're seeing people polling at 15, 20, 25%,
yeah.
I mean, you talk to these people, you get their message out. If you were a journalist, obviously we're not dealing with journalists here. We're dealing with propaganda outlets, because they're all bought and paid by, the government. The federal government gives them all money. Shocking, I know.
Imagine my shock. So let's talk about another city that sucks.
Please do, because this is depressing me.
New York City.
Do we have a palate cleanser first?
Oh, well, we have a palate cleanser next.
Okay.
Unfortunately, so New York City is trying to crack down on particulate emissions by going after the old pizzerias, by essentially saying, well, you should install tens of thousands of dollars worth of emission control stuff on your coal-burning pizza oven because we need to improve air quality. I would think that of all the things that would finally make most New Yorkers snap, it would be this. It's like, you're coming for my pizza? Really? Because if you change the way a pizza oven works by putting so if you have a car and you're trying to improve the horsepower of the car, what's one of the first things you would do? You'd put an exhaust that has less back pressure on it. That's a typical thing to do. You want to get more air moving through, because an engine is basically an air pump. Well, an oven functions largely the same way. The heat of that oven and the way it functions will change if you change the way air moves in and out of that thing. So those scrubbers could potentially make the pizza an inferior product to what it was before. And so any outfit that's allowed to keep their ovens without the modifications is going to have like a huge advantage against the others. There's only like 100 of these things around. And do they produce a little bit of soot and smog? Sure they do. But so does every diesel-powered bus, truck, piece of heavy equipment, compressor that's in the city. The particulates from the diesel engines in the city are massively outweigh these pizza ovens. And at what point does it just not matter? Just don't mess around with the pizza. Leave the pizza alone. It's going to be fine. But some city bureaucrat got a hair up their ass that they had to crack down on the emissions from pizza ovens. I don't know. It just seems Eric Adams needs to go have a little chat with this guy, because I think politically this is a really bad idea. I mean, there might be one or two constituents who live next door to them and kind of go, I don't like the fact that I feel like there's a locomotive next to my window every time I open it, pizza coal smoke comes in. But maybe you just buy an air cleaner for that guy. I don't know. This just strikes me as being massive overreach. I probably didn't leave a whole lot of room for conversation there, did I?
I'm watching the videos. It's
of the whales.
mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Oh, there was the chick with the split tongue, which giggity, even though she looks like a total freak, and now a cat wedding.
Yeah.
I hate humanity. I hate people. What is wrong with you?
Okay, so you wanted
I'm
a
voting
palate
for
cleanser, right?
communists. Oh, please.
Okay. Let's see.
After New York and New York Light.
No, I've got a bunch of stuff here. Oh well, I have one that'll enrage you. That's not what you're looking for, though.
Maybe because it would get my mind off of.
Okay, here is an ad for Greta Thunberg's oil company produced with AI.
Hello, my name is Greta,
Wait.
and welcome to my oil company. I will show you around. Already at a young age, I had a love for oil.
Greta loves
I love
oil.
how it is pumped out of the ground. So I started my own oil company called Greta Greatest Oil. I fly around the world in my own private jet to get the best deals around the world. When the deal is finalized, I will send my own oil container ship to fetch the oil and deliver it to ports, where the trucks are ready to take the oil to storage places. We always do a test, so that we always deliver the highest quality to our customers. We sell it all over the world because we believe that everyone has right to oil. And that is why you can fill your car every day. So I can eat my sweets.
Okay. Okay, that
That
amused
is
me.
terrifying. That is so creepy.
Yeah. So we've also got the first homeless Muppet. Did you hear about that? And I love the response that was on there.
Yeah.
Oscar the Grouch has been
Oscar.
living in a trash can for 49 years.
Yeah, but he owns that fucking trash
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
That's his.
That's
his home.
his.
He's
Him
been
and Warmy.
squatting in that
And
for
and
so long they
Sully?
can't kick him out.
Sully will move him wherever the hell he pleases.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to have a homeless Muppet.
So like, okay, this is gonna sound mean, but like, what demographic are they reaching with the homeless Muppet? Like the person that would be reflective of. I mean,
Yeah.
do they have a TV to watch Sesame Street on?
Well, I think, you
Just,
get your
you know.
government issued cell phone. Doesn't it come with like a free Hulu subscription? You cross the southern border, they hand you a cell phone and it's got Hulu on there. And probably Hulu in Espanol.
Fantastic.
But I'm from China. Oh, well,
ESPN
here, learn Spanish.
HBO.
Yeah. Yes, we've got a homeless Muppet, because why not?
Didn't they have one with like AIDS or HIV or something?
Yeah, they
at one
did.
point? Yeah.
Okay, now
It's
I'm
okay.
going
Well,
to...
it's Sesame Street. I give them all the slack because I suppose they have to bring up tough conversations for kids. So
Okay, do you want a really good, wholesome palate cleanser? You do. I know you do.
okay.
Sure.
Baby Raccoon Ocean
hell is that
Rescue.
thing?
So basically, this guy was out kayaking in Key West. He's out on the water doing his thing, and he comes across this baby raccoon. And you can see his baby raccoon's
how
just
did he
sort of
get
swimming.
there?
I don't know. He's just doing his raccoon thing. And so the
Oh,
baby
poor
raccoon
baby.
comes up, and he's like, "Oh, I'll just hang out here because this is better.
Oh.
This is better." He's just like a little raccoon, and then
Oh.
he ultimately climbs into the boat and decides, "Hey, that tackle box looks kind of comfortable," and he's absolutely exhausted. So the
Yeah.
guy's trying to get the thing out of his tackle box, but it's exhausted, and it just sits there and sleeps for like a few hours because it's completely exhausted, and it even starts snoring.
Oh,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. So I should just give you the link to this. I think you'll actually
Yeah.
like that. This is a pretty good video.
It's a little raccoon buddy.
Yeah. So he takes him back.
I would have kept that raccoon.
Yeah. So he's on land at this point. The raccoon's like, "No, I'm good. I'm just gonna
You want to
stay
leave,
here."
buddy?
I mean, he's like, "You gonna go?" "No, I'm good." So this goes on for a while. It's like, it's getting dark, and it's like, "No, I'm still gonna stay here. Still tired." So at some point, he had to basically force the thing out of his tackle box, and he's like, "Fine, I'll go ahead and head off."
Aw.
But yeah, you never know what you're gonna find in the ocean. Could be the Little Mermaid. Could be exhausted, about to die raccoon.
This is much better
Even
than the
$5
main.
sub, you know.
Yeah. I once was talking to this guy, this mountain guy in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and he was like a genuine mountain guy, some old guy with a big old long beard. And then I realized that he had a baby raccoon sort of hanging out in his ZZ Top beard, just kind of peering out at you. And it was just this little tiny mouse-sized raccoon baby that that he was taking care of because its mom got killed.
Oh my god.
Trash pandas. They've got opposable
That's
thumbs.
so
I don't think you need a pet with opposable thumbs, Sora.
Yeah, you do.
No, it's not going to go well.
They're wonderful. I love them.
Okay. You feel better now?
Yeah.
All of this nonsense about bonus holes and admissions and stuff have gone away. Okay, so let's talk about fish. We haven't talked about fish for a while. I mean, I know they're technically not fish. So orcas sank 3 boats off the coast of Portugal. Now, there have been incidents near Gibraltar that have been happening where these orcas have been attacking boats. So look at that. Imagine you're in a boat and you've got that chasing you. Yeah. Just be glad you got that
scientists
upward motor.
debate why orcas are attacking boats. Oh, I don't know. They see easy food
Because they look
maybe?
delicious. There's
It's
one.
like, oh, it's tuna cans.
There's
but
one
it's
boat
fruit.
that's actually been attacked not once but twice by presumably the same pack of orcas. So it looks like they're actually learning this behavior and passing it on because they have their ways of communicating socially. So even not just within pods, but between pods of orcas, there's some evidence to show that they can communicate, that there's learned behavior. So they haven't killed anybody yet or caused any serious damage, but for some reason, all of a sudden, orcas are just being dicks near Gibraltar. And it's just in that one part of the world that this seems to be happening. When the same boat got attacked twice a few weeks apart, then it's like, what the hell's going on? And nobody really knows. But orcas are kind of dicks.
I don't agree with that assessment.
That they're dicks?
I think that they're tired of boats scraping their backs, and they're ready to fucking fuck up some boats. And yeah, it is learned behavior. Orcas are known as one of the more intelligent species on Earth, and it's entirely feasible that they're learning that these things that make a lot of noise and displace a lot of water are fucking up their pods and causing them a lot of distress. They're one of the few echolocators, and
Are they
to
an
me, it makes sense.
echolocator or are they they
Yes.
use their echo to disrupt, don't they? They're not doing echolocation, are they? I know dolphins do, but I don't know if orcas do. If Serenity was here, she would be looking this shit up.
I'm sure that they use echolocation to find food, identify threats. Let's ask Google. Orcas find food using echolocation, a series of high-pitched clicks. Orcas send out clicks vocally. Their clicks bounce off objects and come reflected back to the orcas as a sense through their fatty melon brow and lower jaw.
Well, they're still dicks.
They also do have very good eyesight, which is rare for an echolocator, but again makes sense given that they are very large mammals that run in pods, and they're not using their echolocation to look at each other, to find each other while they're in the pod. They can kind of like look and see them, but they're so big that to be able to find a large enough grouping of food, like large groups of plankton and smaller groups of fish, that they can just go and have an entire mouthful, they need to eat a lot.
Yeah, because it's
whales are fucking cool.
Because they're swole. And it's cold up there. They
gotta keep up the fatty layer.
Okay. Well, I haven't complained about
apparently-
fish recently. Sorry. Go ahead, Sora. Sorry.
Oh, since we're quick thing, since we're talking about echolocation,
Yeah.
the lowland streaked tenrec from Madagascar is one of the land mammals that can use echolocation, and it is the cutest thing ever.
Are bats
mean-
technically land mammals? Because I mean, they don't live in the air all the time, aren't they?
Yeah.
Land mammals, really? I mean,
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
I guess so.
I mean, there's really just
I mean, the only
land and sea,
differentiation
right?
there's land and sea. Yeah,
There's no air mammals.
water based. No, it's just, there's just things that can fly through the air, and they're mammals.
I
too,
shared the
so.
picture in the chat, the link there for the tenrec, because it is an awesome animal.
Okay.
It's adorable.
Say private chat.
That is one ugly rat. It's got quills. It's
Oh,
very
come on,
vibrantly
look,
colored.
it's it's adorable.
No, he's cute. He's cute in
doesn't
his
look-
ugliness.
It doesn't look real.
And you can, yeah, he's got that sort of big top dome. He's got a large, long snout for probably sniffing out food sources that he's already found.
Okay.
But he's got these tiny little beady eyes that probably don't see very well.
Wow. That is
They do echolocation.
that is quite
That is
the
the
thing.
striped tenrec from Madagascar.
Tenrec.
Tenrec, yeah.
Huh.
He's so cute.
That is a weird looking animal.
Yeah, he's kind of cute.
I like these kind of little things. Rodents are nice.
He's spiky.
Like I said, he's cute in his ugliness.
He's like I don't know. I'm not really sure what he is. He
Well,
reminds me sort of an African pygmy hedgehog with the spiky
Well,
things,
it's
Yeah.
like they're
he's-
they're kind of shrew.
but he's like
So
punk.
they're in the shrew family.
Yeah, he's like
so,
a
you know.
punk hedgehog.
But
It's adorable.
it's weird. Well, not weird, but it's not something you see very often in the animal kingdom. That something develops not only the bright warning color, "Hey, stay away," and also something like a quill, a non-poisonous quill. That's really cool to me.
It's in that part of the world, you know, Madagascar. You know, they probably have remnants, weird evolutionary branching. You know,
Mhm.
Divergence, yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Okay, so that's interesting. I did not know the show was going to go in that direction. Well, I'm just sort of picking and choosing from things. I'm not paying too much attention to the order we're going in. How are we doing for time? 1 hour, 23 minutes. Okay. This is another thing that sort of happened on the Central Coast, which I thought was kind of interesting because I wasn't, you don't usually think of the Central Coast as being big aviation trendsetters. But there's this
Okay.
thing.
It was in the hangar just behind me where the future of air travel was unveiled.
Sorry for the wind.
Imagine calling for a taxi and instead of being stuck in
Should've filmed
traffic,
it on a
you're
bus
flying
video.
over it. Meet the 21st century
hell no.
version of the Jetsons, courtesy of Joby Aviation.
Joby.
The
Joby.
company paving the way for an air taxi service that will whisk commuters in the air.
This is a huge moment. It's the next
no.
stage of taking us into the future where we get to fly instead of drive on a daily basis.
Looks like a
On
giant
Wednesday,
drone.
the
Is it
future
electric?
of air travel
Yeah.
reached a milestone in Marina as
I
Joby
don't.
Aviation
It's a
unveiled
drone.
its first production
there's a pilot
prototype, all-electric air taxi. This
More
coming
like an
up
air
in
taxi,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically, they're talking about doing this with, like, I think it's Uber and all these other outfits. There's
Uber, I think Uber already has like. They did a stunt with helicopters, I think, in Manhattan.
I just no. I don't like this idea.
Mhm.
Think of all the dumb shit assholes that anybody who drives, especially commuters,
Yeah.
deal with on a daily basis. Chances are, chat, I'm sorry, but you've been one of those assholes at some point in your life.
I
do
would
not
never.
want you behind the stick of this thing. Because
Well,
not
there's
only,
no protection to the pilot either. Look at that. There's no.
But Sora,
you
think
know.
about it. If they are up in the air, a car is not going to crash through my bedroom window, in an apartment building.
We
A
could.
fucking drone can and will crash into buildings and
But
into the road.
you know,
and,
you
like,
know
on
what we're gonna
people.
do. Also, say that everyone's well behaved, but you're gonna have people on the ground being assholes with laser pointers, blinding the pilot,
That
and
too.
then it will crash into your bedroom.
Like even the best of drivers, professional drivers, delivery people, taxi drivers, even the best of them still get into accidents every once in a while.
Yeah,
It happens.
but
You can't control all factors.
Sassner
And
the
I
Great
don't
points
like
out
the
this is for
additional-
licensed pilots, and I think ultimately they're hoping that it'll be like a
Okay.
self-driving thing. This isn't going to be you
God, no.
road raging your helicopter into the side of a building. This is this is
No, but I'm thinking
it's
like,
not
hey,
like
I call
South
my
Park when the old people get out of Country Buffet, and then that was a good episode. I like that one.
excuse me. My mindset is, yeah, okay, like, transporting pilots to and from the airfield, that's great.
Mhm.
But like, calling an Uber and then the fucking one of these things lands in front of my building. No.
I just want my personal jetpack. That's all I want. I just want to
That's
be
even
able
worse.
to.
Yeah,
I just want to be able to fly
into
around like in
walls.
the Rocketeer. Is it so much to ask?
Can we
Yes.
not get? I want like teleportation. That's what I want.
I do not want my atoms I'm with McCoy on this one. I don't want my atoms scrambled all over the place. Yeah. Because then you get into those questions like, if you end up on the other end of the thing, is it really you?
I don't care.
Or is it just a photocopy of you and then the original one just gets killed off?
That's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it really teleportation, or do you blink in and out of some sort of demonic interdimensional portal?
What, like Doom?
Well, if it's like a wormhole type thing, then that's
Or
interesting. But if you have to be disassembled to survive going through the wormhole and then reassembled, any kind of disassembly, reassembly, there's some interesting philosophical questions.
Well, in Star Trek, it was explained by Michael Okuda that the guy who basically is the grandfather of their technobabble, is that yes, you're disassembling your energy pattern, but then the energy pattern is being transmitted to the location that you rematerialize on that transporter pad. And why something like in the JJ Trek, teleporting from fucking Terra to Quonos was just stupid and impossible and spits in the face of everything Trek, because there's a finite distance at which the technology can work, because you're still teleporting energy. You're just transforming energy, because the whole thing about Trek tech is that they've solved the conundrum of transmutation of energy to matter and vice versa. And that's basically what human beings are. We're just a collection of energy and matter.
Except that the Gary 7 episode in TOS set the precedent for interplanetary. TOS totally counts.
No, it doesn't.
It counts. It's like the original. Now, why did they have transporters on the original Enterprise functional? I mean, when they were making the show, how did they come up with that? Do you know that bit of trivia? Because it's pretty commonly known. You probably do. Maybe you don't.
I know how they did the effects. I don't know how they.
The reason the transporter was added to Star Trek: The Original Series was a very simple one. It saved money. It's just saved money, because sticking actors in shuttlecrafts and doing all the special effects for that and having them fly down to the surface was a pain in the ass, and it was really expensive, versus just having them stand on a glass disc and throwing some particle effects. And
we're here now.
Yeah, it was a way to produce the show more cost effectively. That's why the transporter came from. It wasn't part of Roddenberry's original design. It was a choice that they had to make so that they could actually make the show on budget. Yeah,
That's fun.
I love Star Trek. Anyway,
What about the Willy Wonka version? You know?
I mean the elevator
The
that just
Wonka
flies
vision?
around at the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Like-
He does the
Like
Wonka vision. The idea of breaks down your particles. It goes, and then you get reassembled. So it's the same particles and everything, except you're shrunk down.
Is this in the remake? Is
No,
this,
it's
this
the
is the
original
original.
movie.
I don't remember this
Even
in
in
the
the book.
original.
Mike
Even in the
TV.
book.
Mike TV got TV'd.
Oh,
You know, the pow pow, annoying American.
it's been a long damn time, Sora.
because basically what Wonka was trying to create was not only a teleporter but a replicator.
If you saw an
so that
ad
you
for.
You could, yeah, exactly. You saw an ad for the latest chocolate. You could
Can eat the
push a
chocolate.
button and be like, I want that chocolate bar, and it would materialize.
Out of the TV.
Huh.
And then Mike TV got teleported, but the problem was is that they had to start out with something ginormous to be able to get it proportionate to a TV screen, so that he went from being a normal 10-year-old to this like Thumbelina sized child.
I clearly
great.
need to go back
because
and
they'd only
rewatch
used it
this.
on. They only used it on inanimate objects at that point, and Mike TV was like, "I'll be the first."
Yeah, completely blocked that out of my memory.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking the original with Gene Wilder is like one of my favorites.
No, I love it. It's just that particular part of it is just nope, no record. Record not
Okay,
found. 404.
Homework. Rewatch Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka.
Oh, don't make me do that. No.
Yes.
No, I love that.
Oh, come on,
No,
it's so cute.
No, I love that.
You,
No, I have no
you just
problem with
have
that.
to skip the whole "Cheer Up, Charlie" song, which is too sweet for me.
I
Charlie.
as much
No.
as I dig Depp, and I think he's got a lot of talent and some range and stuff, he's no Gene Wilder.
You just can't remake that.
He was Willy Wonka in name only. He was one of his own like I'll give him this. He made it his own character, but you can't do that with something like Willy Wonka when he is very much a certain way, if that makes sense.
They so
Which
for
Gene encapsulates.
for the Wonka movie that's coming out,
Mhm.
Timothy Chalamet is playing a young Wonka. They
Oh,
basically return
God.
it back to the. He looks like the Gene Wilder Wonka, basically, because they picked him, I guess, for the curly hair,
Mhm.
and he's dressed up like he was in the original movie. So I'm guessing they decided to ignore the Johnny Depp one,
Mhm.
which is
I just haven't
there's-
seen that kid act.
I don't think
like,
I've
he
ever
hasn't-
seen him in anything either. I'm not sure
I
what
have,
he's in.
but he's carried by better people around him.
He's in Dune, isn't he? Is he in Dune?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is that
yeah.
where he's-
And with something like Dune, overall wasn't a huge fan. It was a very cool interpretation. There was a lot of good stuff in it. But when you're carried by people like Oscar Isaac and Josh Brolin and like, I don't care what anybody says, Dave Bautista is a fucking phenomenal actor. These people carried every scene they were in. Even in the original, the guy who played Paul Atreides, okay actor, but he was carried by people who just fucking eat up every scene they were in, like Sting, like Patrick Stewart. Like, these guys carried the Paul Atreides character, so it kind of allowed me to sort of, suspend a little bit with watching the new one. But the Zendaya, she sucks.
Zendaya.
She sucks. I don't find her attractive. If people find her attractive, all the more power to you, Haas. I don't care. She's a terrible actor. She couldn't act her way out of a paper bag in the fucking Spider-Man movies. It's like, dude, you're not a teenager. Shut up. You can't even act like a teenager. And it should come second nature to you because you're a spoiled fucking Hollywood brat.
How do you
Anyway.
really feel?
I'm okay.
Okay. Well, while you're angry,
I mean, there's a few things that get me really passionate, and like my film is one of them. Like, I'm a huge cinephile, so when I see stuff that is just like, I get.
Okay. So now tell me, functional. Am I the asshole here?
Wise functional of the lake.
The answer is almost always yes, by the way.
Yeah, probably.
Into a pan. I'm also going to add in
Oh,
a
no.
chopped tomato, green bell
not
pepper,
Oh, no.
onion here, some
Is-
parsley, add in
no.
about
No.
10 ounces of tomato sauce, 3 cloves.
First of all,
Why?
she trimmed that spaghetti because spaghetti is not that length. Okay. Anybody who starts
First-
cutting pasta, you've already lost me.
Break the pasta.
I know.
You don't break it.
She does.
Cloves of garlic,
Soup.
some pepper to taste, And of course, some salt to taste as well.
Cooking.
Adding about 2
Oh my
tablespoons
God,
of
how much
oil.
salt did
Finally,
she put
I'm going
in?
to add in some water to cover. I would recommend starting with some warm water just so our noodles don't start
Doesn't that
to
look
stick
delicious?
together. All right, I'm going to put on our
Just
lid
like
to help
cooking.
the cooking
Spaghetti
process.
level of
And
bad
after
cooking.
about 10 minutes, it is
I'm going to turn her
ready.
down, turn her voice down.
So I'm just going to give this another stir. So I'm actually going to add in some
Stop, this isn't
tuna,
fucking
and
instant
we're gonna
Tuna
give it another
fish.
stir.
She just put
And
tuna
of course,
fish
I have
in.
to add in some cheese. I'm using my favorite
done.
mozzarella.
No.
This is such an
No.
easy piece, such a go-to. Okay,
just
we're
threw
going to
my
cover this
headset.
again
No.
and let it melt.
Stop.
And our
This is too much.
It's such a sad color.
Oh.
It's so sad. Why would you? Food is so expensive nowadays. Why would you do this?
I mean, it's not even like pasta's that expensive, but still, you're ruining something that's.
No, but you have tuna and fresh veggies and like all this stuff.
Oh my god, I'm
It's
crying.
a one-pan meal. It's delicious.
It hurts so much. I'm actually crying. I need to splash some water.
I knew you'd feel that way about it, but I wanted to make sure you were already angry. So you're a Marvel fan, aren't you? Or at least one of you is, I think.
Sure.
Don't you desperately want to get the Swarovski Marvel collection? Look
There
how
is
classy that is. $700 for the Hulk.
100%. And then can you smash the Hulk?
You could.
Smash.
So you can do that, or you can get little Hulk smash bracelets. But this stuff's expensive. So like $530 now. You think $530, $600. I mean, if as a Marvel fan, I mean, why would you not get this? This just seems like the most natural thing in the world. But they have a few special editions. Here's Captain Marvel, $10,000. Because nothing
One of
says
a
I'm a
kind.
fool with my money quite like buying this. But
yeah, but you've got
What a
rich
waste of crystal.
fucking retarded influencers and streamers who will buy that shit up.
okay, what about
Um,
$23,000 pole dancing Spider-Man?
This is cute. This
He's
is
working
fun.
the pole.
Literally for under $20, I could 3D print that and put an amazing paint job on it, and it'll look better than that crap.
But it won't have Swarovski
it won't be
crystals
made of
glued on it.
Swarovski crystals,
Yeah.
but it'll be fucking a beautiful piece of art.
Okay.
And in fact, a lot of my friends who do 3D printing do make busts and models like this. They don't, they don't just print other things, but like statuettes, and they look fantastic.
So I'm just gonna. I really like this because it shows inclusivity. It's
Mhm.
about time. There's stuff that are less girly with rhinestones on it. There's this thing. There's a lot of people who like getting certain items bejeweled. Like,
Mhm.
for example, is you find them on Etsy. You want to buy a pair of sneakers, so you buy them from from a seller who bejewels like Adidas sneakers or Stanley cups or whatever. It
Mhm.
looks tacky and is horrifically ugly. But this is basically the same thing, but with Marvel.
Well, there was
How
a
much is that?
there was a thing where people were gluing rhinestones around their bonus hole several years ago,
Bedazzled?
and they were
were
calling it
Bedazzling.
vajazzling.
Jazzling.
Vajazzled. Humanity was a mistake. Okay, so it's not just me. This is not a good idea, right? This is terrible. This just proves you have way more money than sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
admittedly,
now that I see the Iron Man one, I'm kind of like, Harry, buy that for me?
admittedly,
I
I
like
do.
the-
I'm not going to spend my own money.
I did spend like $100 and something to get a new in-box Space 1999 all-metal Eagle model from the TV series Space 1999. I have it at my office. It's just in the box. It's really cool. It's like 13 inches long, and it was a great toy. I had one when I was a kid, and I'm like, I'm going to get one of those now that I'm an adult and just stick it in my office because I can. So I freely admit that I will spend money on stupid shit just because it amuses me.
Sure.
But maybe not
like-
$23,000 on pole dancing Spider-Man.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a limit.
Yeah, it's just
I'm all for using your adult money how you want it.
Yeah.
But this is just a waste.
Yeah.
Like
It
if
is.
I walked into your house and I saw that on your mantle, and I was like, "Hey, that's cool."
How
And
much was
somebody
it?
turned around and said that was worth 20. That well, I bought that. I got it at a steel area for like 23 grand. I would laugh in your face,
As you
slap
should.
you, and be like, "You're a fucking idiot," and walk out of your house. You'd still be my friend. I would just never step foot in your house.
Yeah. You just wouldn't let me be your money manager. Okay, so moving on to the next thing. This is a thing that I stumbled across recently. There's a movie that was made called Bathtubs Over Broadway, which basically documents the industry of making industrial musicals. Now, you may rightfully be saying, Harry, what is an industrial musical? Well, I'm glad you asked, because what it is they have like these big meetings for people who sell GE silicone, for instance. And you get a bunch of people and they go to New York and they put on these musicals. The budget for all these musicals that they were making back between the 50s and the late 70s was, in a given year, usually like around 3 times what Broadway was spending to put on the musicals that were on Broadway. This was like huge business, but unless you worked for these companies, you typically wouldn't see any of these musicals. Is this news to all of you, or have you heard of this before?
No,
Okay, so
it's all new.
I
to
have a
me anyway.
sample for you from General Electric, the Silicone song. It's called The Answer. This is from 1973.
Rubber resins and chemical silicones. Seeing what they can do for you will surely change your tone.
On cables in places like nuclear plants, it's the perfect insulation. Holds back moisture, and corrosion holds back oxidation.
Baking pan release, non-toxic stuff for foods, adhesive.
Okay, so this is like
This is charming. I like it.
This is charming, but they did these things on stages. You'd actually go and there would be like a thing going on stages. So there was a, gosh, I'm trying to remember. It was which thing was it? It was a bathroom fixture company. I think it'll be obvious. This is basically where the title of the thing came from. The bathtubs are coming, bathrooms over Broadway. Here's a little sample of this. You gonna play?
Is a private kind of place, very special kind of place.
American Standard, 1969.
Where I can stay, making faces at my face. My bathroom is my very special room.
Okay. So this is from the album that goes with the musical. So they were performing this on stage, and there was an actress. They would have real actors and actresses in these things. So the guy who did the music for Fiddler on the Roof,
'cause they went to Juilliard.
yeah, well, the guy who did the music for Fiddler on the Roof actually wrote a bunch of these things. You had people who were on these things that you wouldn't necessarily. So notice some of these shows employed major artists, the ones who later become famous, both behind the scenes and on stage, including the composers Sheldon Harnick, better known for Fiddler on the Roof, and the team of John Kander and Fred Ebb, Cabaret, with actors such as Cheetah Rivera, Florence Henderson, Bob Newhart, and Martin Short, and directors including Bob Fosse and Susan Stroman. I mean, these are like real people who were making all of these things, and if you weren't part of this little private club, you would have never seen it. It's only because of the internet and a handful of people going back and doing archaeology, as featured in that documentary, that anybody even knows this shit exists. I was just blown away that there's like this industry that's 3 times the size of Broadway, and I didn't know it existed.
Can our other co-host come say hello?
Which other co-host?
Say
Where?
hi to Sora.
Oh.
Say hi to Sora.
Okay.
Say hi to Sora. Say hi.
Meow.
Say hi. She's just looking at me weird. She's rubbing up against the pot filter, but she's just looking at me weird. Here, have some cookies
And
for
she's
being
like probably thinking like, the hell you want from me? I
Yeah.
already said hi.
Sorry to derail, but
No.
she
I
wanted
mean,
to say hello.
it's too bad we can't have the cat on camera. It'd be great for ratings.
It would.
Yeah.
She's adorable.
Okay. So, more nonsense here. So, I've been talking about how Biden and a lot of these people have been pushing these changes to housing codes in the U.S. In California, Anthony Weiner, because why can't you just put an extra dwelling in your backyard? Forget the building codes. We just want to make the suburbs super populated and make sure that the right people get a chance to live there. So this is one of the consequences of that sort of thing.
How can this possibly be legal? There are just 17.5 inches between Charles Brock's chimney and the ADU being built next door. Charles turned to the city for help, but they said this is permitted. When Charles first saw construction starting next door, he didn't give it much thought.
They tore down the garage that had been there. I was like, she's doing something. None of my business.
Then he got a call from the contractor that a fence he thought was on the property line was actually off by more than a foot and was coming down. His neighbor planned to build a new ADU right up to the new line.
Okay, so if this was one of us, I think we would be justifiably pissed, but it depends on the local laws in your area. That fence more than likely did not need to move. If that fence had been there for some number of years, which it almost certainly had been, that means that his property line was where that fence was. And his first mistake was not getting a lawyer and telling them to get bent. Because regardless of whether the fence was in the right place or not, that effectively became his land because he possessed it. He basically occupied it for long enough. That's the way real estate law works. So his first mistake wasn't just saying, okay, we'll get bent. And that at least would have had that thing not be 17.5 inches from the chimney of his house. And that thing looks like it's going to be 2 stories. Can you imagine somebody building a 2-story building right on the property line next to your property? That would suck. That would not be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did I tell you I have a friend who once was trying to do a little bit of construction sort of like this, and his neighbor got pissed off, and because he said it was going to screw up his son, and he decided to be vindictive, and so it turned out he couldn't build the thing that he wanted because of the neighbor's complaint, but he was able to put a 40-foot redwood tree at the edge of his property, and so he basically he planted a 40-foot redwood tree and cast this guy into just perpetual darkness. Yeah, welcome to winter. This was in Palo Alto. Thank God I never got on that guy's bad side.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like it. Let's see. Where do we want to go next? We've got a few options. Is there anything you guys wanted to talk about that I haven't brought up?
No, I haven't really been paying attention to much lately.
Okay. Well, here's
Hold on. There was something I saw. You go on, and I'll try to find. There was something I saw in the news.
Oh, I mean, I have tons and tons of
You go
stuff. I
ahead.
just want to give you guys a chance. But in the meantime, we can watch this.
Police are looking for 2 people who robbed a group inside a bathroom in the Irvine Spectrum. This happened on Monday night. Officers say that 4 kids went to the bathroom and 2 suspects with a gun followed them and demanded their shoes. 1 kid was able to get away. Now, the suspect stole 3 pairs of shoes and a baseball hat.
Really? We've got kids being attacked now
Kids went to
and
the
having their
bathroom and-
shoes stolen when they go to the bathroom at the mall.
I mean, white kids.
I mean,
for?
are we? Well, because those shoes can be expensive. They wear these stupid. I don't know what's expensive now. I guess Yeezys are cheap
Yeezys.
now that people don't like him anymore. Didn't they lose all their value when he sort of went nuts?
No, they increased in value
Oh,
because
they
now
increased?
they're hard to get.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They killed the readily available supplies, so people were like, I want them.
This isn't really that much
Funny how
different
that works.
than wearing a Rolex in the wrong neighborhood then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, if you're, out in public at the mall, like in generally okay neighborhoods, it shouldn't be an issue. Not like, walking through the jungle wearing tons of ice and a diamond Rolex and, like that you're just being stupid at that point. But I do think it's a little stupid to spend such exorbitant amounts of money on things you are kind of asking to be, I don't want to say robbed, but you're flaunting your shit in exorbitant ways. Like running shoes are not something that should generally cost hundreds if not like thousands of dollars. Like they're running shoes. They're meant to be beaten the shit out of because you run in them, you do activity in them.
Well, it's like athleisure, right? It's become kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's a fashion statement, not an actual functional clothing item.
Like if I saw that Captain Marvel statuette again in Harry's house on his mantle, yeah, I would steal it. I'd be like, "You're an idiot for buying it."
You would steal Harry's shoes.
And I would hawk the statue for 10 grand, 5 grand, whatever. I mean, you're kind of asking for it when you're making stupid purchases. A fool and his money are soon parted.
Yeah. I'm just going through the stuff because I have a few things here, but I'm not entirely sure I want to talk about
Palo
them.
Alto, that's California, right?
Yeah, that's where Stanford University is. And
oh boy.
And the hometown of Hewlett Packard and a bunch of other stuff.
So all those diversity students and inclusion students who didn't get there on merit.
Yeah.
They're learning something.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, well, let's see. We will do this. So this came around on Father's Day. This is the level of CNN. Black dads are more likely to play, dress, and share a meal with their child, data shows. Now, while this may be true, how constructive is it to basically break up dads by like the color of their skin and divide them into groups and start doing this analysis?
I suppose they're trying to like repair the stereotype, maybe.
Yeah, repair the
benefit of the doubt.
Hey, baby, I'm going to go get cigarettes and milk. Be back. Never. That sort of stereotype.
By going the opposite way, because if you think of this, like, oh, they have all this time, is it because they don't have a job?
So if they defy the stereotype, then they end up being better dads than other colored dads.
Oh,
I just kind of hate this sort of journalism.
No, it's stupid. It
is stupid.
Why are you starting to pick sides? Like why are you pitting? Because
they're racist.
Yeah,
they really are. I mean, those are the people that they purport to deride, and it's really them. Like, it's the meme. Are we the baddies? Yes, you are the baddie. Yes, you are the racist.
It's
yes,
rude.
You're taking immutable characteristics and ascribing real value to them. We can look at certain demographics and trends and statistics to try to combat problems, but when you're trying to say, and this isn't even accurate. It's not even accurate because look at what the actual problem is in many a black household. There's a very poor trend. I mean, poor as far as growth goes, of absentee black fathers. And that's the real problem, not whether or not they play with their children. Because I'm sure the ones that do stick around are very good dads, like most dads are. But it's the ones that aren't sticking around, and it does. And at that point, it doesn't. The trend of one ethnic group, one skin color, sure, that's one thing. But it's the whole aspects of absentee fatherism, whether black, Asian, Native American, white, it doesn't fucking matter. That is a real present problem that we can attack.
Okay, if you do this mathematically, right, you say for any, child who has a dad, if dad exists, then he's going to be one of two things. He's going to be a good dad or a bad dad. And the degree to which his skin color is going to be predictive of whether he's a good or a bad dad is just not that important.
Nil.
All that matters to a given kid is whether his dad or her dad is a good dad. And why this is really just trying to fluff up the image of some of these black dads at the expense of the white dads, because the implication here is that the white dads are pieces of shit. Well, they may not run out on their kids, but they don't spend any time with them anyway. They might as well not even be there. It's just race grifty bullshit, and this is probably why CNN just needs to go away. It's just a terrible, terrible network. It's not that I have an opinion or anything.
I agree.
Yeah, stupid. So there's another thing from the Central Coast. I was, we were talking about the thing in Toronto where they were going to buy land or buy houses and then give them to charities, and then magic is going to happen for equity and housing and stuff, right? I'm not against all sort of government, private sector interaction type things. So, for instance, this is a thing that's happening in Central California. Let me see if I can locate this here.
The view from the sky shows oak-filled valleys and wildflower-studded ridges. Along both sides of Carmel Valley Road, the Rana Creek property is more than 14,000 acres. And if all goes according to plan, the land will be open in the future for everyone to enjoy.
We expect that the Wildlands Conservancy...
So, basically, the Wildlands Conservancy, which is a private charity, they buy up a lot of land that's private, and then they put it in trust for future generations. If you look at them on Charity Navigator, they have a 100% score for transparency and making good use of the money. Okay. They're not a shifty charity. So they are going to, this property was owned by one of the Apple founders. So big money Apple person. Makes a bunch of money in the market, the evil, greedy capitalists. What do they do with that money? Well, a lot of them go into philanthropy later. Like Carnegie was big on philanthropy. Nobody talks about all of the good that some of these people do. And Jobs is a piece of shit. You can do bad just as easily with your money. But in this particular case, he's essentially, for not very much money, selling this beautiful piece of property in Carmel Valley, which is just sort of inland from Carmel, which is on the California coast. And it's going to be turned into this huge park. They have a bunch of properties that these guys actually manage all up and down the West Coast. This map is not all that big. Sorry. But you can see there's these little dots, running around here. And there's a table of these things. I don't have a particular problem with this. I mean, I know I'm all free market, let's build stuff. But I'm kind of glad they're taking that beautiful piece of property and setting it aside for future generations. Because I was thinking about this, RFK Jr., he's big on the environment, but he's not a big climate change person. You can be a naturalist like Teddy Roosevelt was. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've got it right. You can be a naturalist and care about nature and wanting to set stuff aside in a reasonable sort of way without necessarily being a crazy environmentalist. And so this kind of naturalist stuff, I really like it. And, if I happen to be in the area down there, I would love to go there. This is some beautiful country that we're talking about here.
I think the more access you have to green space where you can walk around is better. It's healthy, allows people to visit something,
Yeah, and it's a beautiful piece of land. I mean, this is what happens when it rains.
Developing land is great, but also preserving land is also great. It just has to be a good balance of the two, right?
Yeah, and this is all.
You can't destroy all ecosystems surrounding your city, because where are you going to grow your food? Who's going to pollinate your flowers? And
Yep. Well, I think the Parks Department is chipping in some of the money, but about 2/3 of it's coming from private donations. So so it's a combination of a little bit of government, but a whole lot of private sector. So they're basically, having fart and swine festivals and stuff, going to these mixers and raising money, and getting larger donations from private investors to buy this to basically benefit everybody. So people talk about greedy capitalists. Oh, you mean like the guys who make it rich and then give their giant ranch away to the people? I mean, rich people are not all terrible douchebags. They're not all superficial, terrible people. Some of them do good shit. And we're going to get a new park out of it. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the point is I'm trying to make here, other than capitalism is good. Not all people are evil. And I think nature is a good thing. And you're right. Those green spaces matter a lot. When I was trying to figure out where to go to university, one of the first things one of the things I looked at, other than just the academic stuff, was, am I going to go insane? I cannot live in a concrete jungle. I would just taste gun oil almost immediately. I can't. These people say, you want to live in space? No, I don't want to fucking live in space. I don't want to live in space.
It's one of the great things that I actually came to love about Toronto was that many moons ago, I lived on the 27th floor of a building at the north end of the city. You could look down clear across to Lake Ontario, downtown core to the suburbs. Green space everywhere. Yes, you had buildings poking up through those green spaces, but it is just this lush green canopy of mostly green across the city, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see the harmony of the buildings, the architecture living in tandem with these green spaces. Me, myself, my building is surrounded by protected green space, and then there's a big park across the street, and it's wonderful. I could literally take 10 minutes, walk into the ravine, and it feels like I'm not even in the city anymore. I am, but it's tricking my brain to think, hey, I'm back in nature. And going for walks through there, especially in my condition where walking is harder, it's so refreshing. Because normally I would have taken a weekend here, a week there, and go fuck off to a cottage or a shack in northern Ontario and just recommune with nature. But if you can't really get that, it's nice to be able to go to a park, a parkette, a large lush green space like this. And props to New York for maintaining Central Park, because that's a huge patch of green space in the concrete jungle. But it's so needed. Love it.
Shouldn't they just sell that and then and make housing for the homeless? Shouldn't they? I mean, don't they just owe that to them? Maybe they should take Central Park and turn it into a bunch of projects for immigrants. How's that sound? I think your
Harry,
desire
I don't
for your
sarcasm.
For your bougie naturalist thing. Yeah, no, I am being completely and utterly sarcastic. So there is a. Have you ever been to Boulder, Colorado?
No.
Okay. Colorado is a beautiful. Well, okay. Part of Colorado is very beautiful. Part of Colorado is basically Kansas. It's not, and not even the nice part of Kansas. So if you look at a big chunk of Colorado, it's just like terrible. It's not nice. Okay. It's just flat and uninteresting and nasty. But if you turn your back on that and then pretend that the Rocky Mountains are all of Colorado, then you go, wow, this is the most beautiful state ever. And if you go to a town, Boulder, which is up in the mountains a little bit, it's like 4,500 feet, something like that. CU Boulder, Colorado University Boulder is there, and so is NCAR, the National Center for Atmospheric Research, and Mork and Mindy supposedly took place there. So there's that. But in the town of Boulder, which is one of the most hippie granola crunchy places I've ever been to, and that's saying a lot given where I live. They have like a huge park in the middle of town, and their city park, which is the Flatirons, is like the size of most people's state parks. It's this huge, wonderful thing. The quality of living is just insane in a place like that. If you like nature, if you know, because you work and you code and you do all those things, and at a certain point you just go, I got to stop doing this. I'm just going to get a blood clot and die if I don't go outside and touch grass. And the Flatirons are absolutely gorgeous, and that's just a city park there. So the Flatirons in Boulder, Central Park in New York, I like green spaces. I do. I mean, I give a lot of shit to the government and the Parks Department. I thought Parks and Recreation was pretty funny. I thought Ron Swanson was really onto something more than Leslie Knope. But as much shit as I give these people, I like open, green spaces and stuff. And if they were going to raise money from private people and set this thing into trust, great. I'm all for it. So yeah, I'm not a totally bad guy. Just mostly. I mean, because I hate fish and stuff. We good?
Not totally.
Have we said all the things that need to be said?
Hell yeah.
I believe we have. Hey, thank you, panel. Thank you, chat.
Oh.
The zoo is closed. Good night, everybody.
Oh my goodness, we are.
We are.